Hello students, welcome back to your channel in economics, Madhumita Das, where I create videos on economic topics. Today's topic is movement along the demand curve or change in demand. So let us start with a video. So as you can see on the board, movement along the demand curve. So what is movement along the demand curve? When demand rises or falls due to the change in price only, other things remaining constant is called as movement along the demand curve. That means when the demand for a commodity changes only due to the variable price or only due to the factor price, then only we say that it is movement along the demand curve. So what happens to the other factors? The other factors remains constant. There is no change in other factors. The other determinants of demand remains constant during this movement along the demand curve operation. Okay, so movement along the demand curve is rise or fall in demand due to the rise or fall in price. Other factors remaining constant. I hope movement along the demand curve is clear to you all. Now we can see that there are two types of movement which happens along the demand curve. One is the expansion of demand and the second one is the contraction of demand. Now what is expansion of demand? From the name itself we can understand expansion means the demand rises. Yes, expansion means that the demand rises. Why will the demand rise? Because the price falls. Okay, so expansion of demand is a concept wherein there is a rise in demand. Demand will rise. Why? Because there is a fall in price. Other factors will remain constant. Okay, other factors will be constant. Okay, and what is contraction of demand? Contraction of demand is a mechanism which tells us that demand falls. Contraction, demand contracts means demand lessens, it reduces. Why does it happen? It happens because price rises. Okay, when demand falls, why? Because price rises. Other factors will remain constant. I hope you have understood the concept of expansion and contraction of demand. Okay, expansion and contraction of demand is a part of movement along the demand curve. That means in this type of movement, basically demand changes because of the change in price. Okay, the demand rises because of the fall in price and the demand falls because of the rise in price. Okay, so movement along the demand curve, I hope it is clear to you all. Coming to the diagram of movement along the demand curve, you can see in the diagram on the y-axis we have plotted the price, on the x-axis we have plotted quantity demanded. Okay, so there is the quantity demanded is shown on the x-axis and on the y-axis price. Okay, we can see that when the price is P, when the price is at P, the quantity demanded is Q. Yes, OP, when OP is the price, quantity demanded is OQ. Okay, when there is now, let us take a situation when there is a fall in the price. From OP, the price falls to OP1. Okay, let's say this part, OP1. What happens if there is a fall in price? There is a rise in demand. Can you see? There is a rise in the demand. From Q, it is going to Q1. The quantity demanded increases from OQ to OQ1. Okay, why does this happen? This happens because of expansion of demand. Okay, because when price falls, there is always a rise in demand. Other factors remaining constant. So this expansion can be seen from point B to point C in our diagram. Okay, and the demand curve moves to the right side. when there is a rightward movement of the demand curve, then it is always expansion of demand. Demand curve moves to the right, okay, or it moves, downwards. Can you see there's a downward movement? Yes. Now, what happens in contraction? In contraction, you can see that when the price is OP, the quantity demanded is OQ. Okay, when the price rises to OP2, from OP1 to from OP to OP2, the quantity demanded decreases from OQ to OQ2. Okay, why does it decrease? Because there is a rise in the price. From OP, the price rises to OP2. That is why the quantity demanded decreases. So this decrease can be seen here from point B to A. Can you see this? This point B to A movement is called as contraction of demand. Here demand curve, there is a upward movement in the demand curve. Okay. So the two concepts, one is expansion, one is contraction of demand. They are parts of movement along the demand curve. I hope this is clear to you. As you can see on the board, shift in demand curve. Now what is shift in demand curve? It is just an opposite to movement along the demand curve. In movement along the demand curve, we saw that demand will change because price changes. Other factors remain constant. Here it is just the opposite. Here the demand changes because other factor changes and price remains constant. There is no change in the price element. There is only change in other factors. Okay. Now, shift in demand curve is of two types. Okay, there are two types of shift in demand curve. One is the increase in demand, other is the decrease in demand. From the name itself, we can understand that increase in demand is when demand rises because of change in other factors. Let's say income of the consumer rises. Okay, so there is a change in the demand also. The demand also rises. And decrease in demand falls because there is a change in the income of the consumer, or there may be change in the taste of the consumer, or there may be change in the market size. Okay, so whatever, there is a decrease in demand due to other factors and not price. Okay, now we can see the diagram for this. In the diagram we see there is a movement. There is the original demand curve is replicated by DD demand curve. Okay, now this demand curve demands a price of OQ. There is demands a price of OQ, and quantity demanded is OQ. Yes, at OP price, OQ quantity is demanded, and the original demand curve is DD. Now we can see that there is a shift of the demand quantity demanded from OQ to OQ1. Now why does this happen? Because there is an increase in demand. Okay, because of the increase in demand, the demand curve from DD shifts to D1, D1. Yeah, this is because of other factors. Because of other factors. Okay, it could be rise in income. Okay, it could be rise in say market size. It could be change in the taste, etc. So all these other factors are responsible for increase in demand. Okay. Now here in decrease in demand, the demand falls. We can see that the demand from OQ falls to OQ2. This part. Yes. It comes to OQ2, and accordingly the original demand curve DD shifts to the left hand side to D2, D2. Now why does this happen? This also happens because of other factors. Now in case of decrease in demand, the factors are different. Let us say there is a decrease in income of the consumer. Decrease in income. There is a decrease in population. Okay. There is maybe change in some fashion. Change in fashion. And many other factors. Okay, so because of these other factors, there is a decrease in demand. In this concept of increase and decrease of demand, price always remains constant. There is no change in the price element, other factors keeps on changing, as a result of which demand changes. I hope this topic is clear to you. Students, if you liked my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. It really helps me to keep myself motivated and work for my further videos. And please like and share it with your friends. Also comment